When the white man came into Africa, he didn't just destroy us. He used mixed race soldiers to fight us, our own children to fight us. And here we are out here making babies with people who we know can't stand our guts. So those children can get to be 21 years old and then their father will control them, the remote control from Beijing and Shanghai, how to dominate the resources and industries and land of Jamaica. Because I guarantee you, the Chinese in Jamaica are not letting black people teach their children. Do you understand? I need y'all to understand it. So I would like to see that GSAT test that they use in Jamaica to see whether or not I believe it is a fair test for our children. Because guess what? When your child takes that test, they might get 10 math questions, but there was 1,000 math questions they could have got. They get 10 comprehension questions, but there was 1,000 comprehension questions they should have got. They get 10 reasoning questions, but there was 1,000 reasoning questions they could have got. 10 science questions, but there was 1,000 questions they could have got. Who narrowed down these science items to 10 from thousands? How did they get to 10? You know how they got to 10? They looked at how poorly the black kids performed on certain items, and they looked at how well the Chinese and the whites and the Indians performed on others. And the final test that your child gets in the classroom has the items that the whites and the Asians and the Arabs excelled on, and they kept out the items that the black kids excelled on. That's why you'll never see a test in this world made by white folks where the black children outperform the white children or the Asian children systemically. And now that your government is allowing the Chinese to play a hand in your educational system, guess what's going to happen? In 20, 30 years, I can predict for you, if we don't do something about it, that the Chinese will be the leaders of every Jamaican industry and every sector of your business world. You know why? Because if your government is letting the Chinese design the tests, are y'all following me? China is making the tests that the Jamaican children gotta pass. So guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna engineer the test so the Chinese kids score higher, and the Chinese kids will be the one in charge of every industry. And because you got black women who, in a thirst to improve their socioeconomic level, they will have babies by these Chinese men, like they're doing in Nigeria. It's going crazy, okay? You're going to have a whole population of black mixed Chinese babies who are going to serve as the intermediate force of oppression against indigenous Africans through their Chinese father. The same thing is going to happen in Jamaica. In the next 30 years, you're going to have a population of young Chinese Jamaicans who are going to be biologically Jamaican, but psychologically Chinese. And the Chinese are going to dictate this island through their mixed race Chinese Jamaican babies. We've been through this. African people been through this. When the white man came into Africa, he didn't just destroy us. He used mixed race soldiers to fight us, our own children to fight us. And here we are out here making babies with people who we know can't stand our guts. So those children can get to be 21 years old and then their father will control them, the remote control from Beijing and Shanghai, how to dominate the resources and industries and land of Jamaica. So brothers and sisters, the other issue that we have, mental health. Mental health is a big issue. Your numbers are up in Jamaica. Your chemical abuse numbers are up in Jamaica. Domestic violence is a big problem in Jamaica. Alcoholism. All of this is mental health. Now I have a question for you. Is there a ministry of mental health in Jamaica? And if there is not, what ministry is responsible for mental health?
Ministry of Health.
The Ministry of Health is also mental health. Do y'all have an island-wide mental health treatment system? So if somebody is depressed or is there a governmental office or official they can reach out to find out what services are available?
Yeah, but there's a suicide helpline, I know of.
Okay, there's a suicide helpline. The reason I'm bringing this up is one of the things I would like to do. I would like to do it in the Caribbean, and I would like to do it throughout Africa as much as possible, because Africa is a big place, right? I want to help our island countries and our African nations, as well as our Central and South American nations, we can't forget about the Africans there, create a nationwide mental health treatment system. I would like to come here and train brothers and sisters on how to be therapists. So if someone is, the government has a program by which you can get the talk therapy that you need. If you're psychotic, we can screen for that, send you to the medical doctor for a prescription if necessary. I'm not a big fan of psychiatric medication. I only support psychiatric medication if there's a psychotic disorder or schizophrenia, homicide. I don't believe in ADHD, and you black parents in Jamaica better slow down on this ADHD nonsense. It is nothing but a scam and a trap. It is about Wall Street drug money. That's all ADHD is. When do we get ADD? 1980. The American Psychiatric Association gave us ADD. The same year, the CIA started drugging the black community with. That's the same year we get ADD. But the drug companies weren't making enough money off prescriptions. So 7 years later, in 1987, ADD became ADHD. And what I need all of you to understand is the mental health systems of this world, all controlled by white folks, do not allow you to diagnose a child with attention deficit disorder. Every child on the planet who's being evaluated must be evaluated and diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Even if your child is not hyper, they will still be determined to be hyper because that's the way they set up the diagnosis. Did y'all hear what I just said? Even if your child is not hyper, they're hyper. Why? So they can prescribe the medication. So you better stop with the, 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 because this ain't nothing but synthesized cocaine. Synthesized, and you giving this to 3-year-old black boys in Jamaica. You're giving this to 5- and 7-year-olds, and nobody's telling you that this is going to erode your child's executive functions. Which means your executive functions control what? When you urinate, go to the bathroom, when you sneeze, how you control your saliva. So your child will be urinating on himself, defecating on himself without even knowing. Saliva running down his mouth without even knowing. Won't be able to drive a car when he grows up because all of his instinctual powers have now been destroyed. Because when you give a child the drug doesn't just work on ADHD because ADHD don't exist. So what the drug does is it slows down the whole brain. It's like when you're in a car and you driving your car, you can't just slow down the engine. You can't just slow down the transmission. You got to slow everything down when you step on that brake. And that's exactly what the pills do when your child consumes them. Nothing is wrong with black boys. The problem is the school system isn't designed to properly educate them. Stop making your son the problem. He's the scapegoat. He's not the problem. The school is the problem. You understand? Your school system is still dominated by female teachers. Is that correct? There's no reason that should be. We should have a balanced amount of male and female. Nothing against the female teachers. But a lot of our boys don't have a father in the house. So he needs to have a male teacher to take care of the social, emotional, as well as the academic and the intellectual. So one of the things I don't understand about the Ministry of Education in Jamaica, why haven't you built a partnership with the historically black colleges in America or with the universities throughout the island and the Caribbean to bring black male education majors to Jamaica to be classroom teachers? Why haven't you done that yet? Because I guarantee you, the Chinese in Jamaica are not letting black people teach their children. Do you understand? They're not letting black people teach their children. So we need to have black men in front of our boys. That is the problem. The issue with primary school is it's ran by women globally. Globally. Nothing wrong with the women, but the issue is women only know how to effectively deal most of the time with female students. Boys are not girls. When girls go through puberty, they sleep all day. When boys go through puberty, they want to run all day. So the school has to be able to adapt to the fact that your 10, 11, and 12-year-old boys have a large amount of natural energy that needs to be released. And if you're not providing them with enough physical activity, They can't focus on the academics. And you call it ADHD. It's not ADHD. It's poor academic system planning is what it is. And then it's also ain't no daddy at home disorder. A lot of our boys are not getting that discipline from the father because he's not there. And then there's also artificial diet at home disorder because we're feeding our children too much artificial synthetic food and sweetener. Cut that sugar out the diet. High fructose corn syrup got to go as well. Okay, all artificial sweeteners got to go. Many of our children are addicted to sugar. It's not ADHD, it's a sugar addiction. And then we also have the emotional issues of our children. Many of our children have emotional problems stemming from family dysfunction. So sometimes I refer to ADHD as an attachment disruption due to home life dysfunction. So I would love to help. I would love to help. And I wouldn't even charge. I would do it out of love for African people. Let's build a mental health system here. Let's build a mental health system here.
The Honorable Marcus Garvey said, if we got to know ourselves today, we would have a new reality in 24 hours. I believe that we are very close, but it seems very far because we lack confidence in ourselves.